Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me and being part of the channel. So, what's happening? Well, something big is happening, and they want to go digital, and they're forcing the digital currency. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the what's happening in Australia with them removing ATM machines, forcing people to go further away to withdraw or make deposits. Or it's been happening, and we have it on the channel. Time machine, which we're going to cover for you guys, and we're going to touch a little bit about Canada raising interest rates again, or no, they're gonna continue raising interest rates till they could find a way to hedge against this killer inflation due to poor government spending, due to governments throwing money at everything. They're going to impoverish the middle class. Let's have a look, like my friend Heiza says. Let's have a look. Okay, here it is, folks. The end of ATMs in Australia. Thousands of cash machines are removed across the country as banks go digital. So they're doing this to prevent a runoff on the monetary system, and they're seeing what's happening in Canada. We did a hit video on our backup channel, which is this one you're on right now, where it had I think it just passed 5,000 views, but luckily bigger channels picked that up, where people lose confidence in their governments and start having a runoff on the monetary system. So we discussed that in depth on other videos before anyone else put them up. Woo! ATM at bank branches across Australia continuing to close at rapid rates. Switch by customers to digital banking. Seen 4 banks switch their focus. ANZ ahead of distribution. Kath Bray said changes were clear, the sign of times. So we already discussed bank runs happening in Australia before they pulled the trigger on the sickness. So we already discussed this, and I'm just trying to think if there's, that's what, I think it's when my channel got banned again. Channel's been banned like 10 times. I think if we type in money laundering across the channel, we get too much stuff, but if there's money laundering in Australia, yeah, there's lots of money laundering videos. There's hundreds of them. Australia money laundering fiasco. So it goes on and on. I wanted to find one about Westpac that was caught money laundering, and a couple of other. There it is. Westpac faces fines over money laundering breaches. So these banks aren't saints themselves, but they're removing people from getting access to their cash. And that's a major issue. So Australia's banks continue to focus on digital transaction for customers. ATMs and bank branches are disappearing across the country according to new data. Not really, because if you go back to our channel Time Machine, I made a video. Australia sack 10,000 staff and 300 branches, and they're already shutting down bank machines already. And that was, again, 2 years ago before they pulled the trigger on the sickness, right? So let's go over to what's happening. So we know what's happening with that. So what is happening? Oh, Canada. So what's happening in Canada? So here it is. Bank of Canada raises key interest rates, but inflation could prove difficult to tame. So they're already letting us know that they're having a tough time taming inflation. We know this. This is not a secret, right? We have videos on our Time Machine, if you go on our channel, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, saying interest rates are no longer in line with inflation, right? And what does this do? Well, what's going to happen is, this is what I think is going to happen personally. I think the private sector businesses, mom and pops like me, I sell toys, my business is going to suffer horrendously because they're going to keep, in turn, raising interest rates, leaving consumers with less pocket money to spend. Now, when consumers spend less money, I make less sales. You know, in turn, it hurts, and then we can't fund the public sector anymore. We fund the private. This toy store actually funds the private sector, public sector. Sorry, we fund the police, the streets, the fixing the streets, the firefighters, whatever, teachers to teach whatever they're teaching to our kids nowadays. I'm not going to get into that. We'll talk about that on Mike in the Night. But what I'm saying is it's gotten potentially bad when there is no private sector to fund the public sector. Now, what are we going to see? Well, we're going to see, the price of things are going to continuously going up, and we've been talking about this, power shutoff, grid shutoffs, rolling blackouts, food prices. This is old news. This is something like you can look it up across the Time Machine on the channel. Just search across the channel and you'll find anything you're looking for that's been out 3+ years. So it's not like it's happening today and we're suffering from it. No, it's something that's been gradually growing. They've been hiding inflation for the longest time. So what does that mean for homeowners? Oh, Mike, it's only 0.5%. Watch. Last time they raised rates 0.5% back 4 years ago, people were crying, or 3 years ago, people were crying for the extra $100 a month, $200, because Canadians are less than $200. We'll go back to the channel time machine and we'll look. I think if you type in $200 here, I think it comes up. I think you just put $200, 200, and cross the channel time machine right there. 46% Canadians, $200 or less away from financial insolvency. And again, this was way before they pulled the trigger on the sickness to blame it on the sickness, right? So I kind of wanted to throw that out there to show you guys. So what's happening with oil? So again, our paid for media is basically explaining crude oil's return to $100 a barrel. So right now, oil is still climbing and it's still rallying and doing well. Luckily, I've had oil stock since January. I picked up in January quite a bit of Suncor, Athena, ATH, I think it's a ticker, and Crescent Point. I already had a bit of Suncor. I added a bit to my Suncor that I bought during the major dip, when we had the major dip with airlines were all halted and everything. And that's when I bought Air Canada stock. But no, I bought a lot of oil at the last week of January. While everyone was selling their stocks and getting out of the markets, through the month of February, I've made probably like 36 oil purchases, in oil stock. And it's basically taken a lot of the red I had, or a lot of bad debt a lot of bad stocks I had. I just unloaded them and put them back into oil a few weeks back, and the gains are coming. They're going to have to find a way. They're going to have to really raise interest rates if they want to see the price of oil start to taper off or something. Their countries need to create confidence in their currency, and that's what's happened. They have no confidence in their currency, and they went to recorded low interest rates. Now, I made a video on the channel that you guys might want to watch, how they created a Frankenstein monster, right? And this Frankenstein monster video is actually a very good one. Let me see here. Monster. They're going to have a really tough time. There it is. Frankenstein banking monster. Victor Frankenstein teams up. So it talks about the movie Frankenstein there, but it talks about the banking monster that they created. And what a lot of people didn't know, that Victor Frankenstein wasn't the monster. It was the creator. So they created a money monster with these low rates, and it's created this artificial shortages and asset bubbles, and it's basically derailed a lot of families. The middle class has been hit real hard. A lot of people in the middle class, don't get me wrong, have gotten wealthy on paper overnight because of their asset values going up. Now governments are looking in Canada to start taxing people on the equity in their homes. They're looking at ways to get more money from people. And that's what they will never stop doing that until they basically bankrupt every Canadian, or put every Canadian on the street, because that's what their idea is, right? So anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Tonight we're going to have a nice episode of Mike of the Night. Go over to Odyssey. Every time we leave a link on here, the channel is like under investigation. It's like we still have to find a place for us to talk. We're not welcome on YouTube, so I'm on my 10th suspension on my main channel, and there's channels making videos about what we're talking on this backup channel, and they're running with it because the timestamps don't lie. And that's why probably YouTube's going to start deleting small channels, because they feel it's not worth it for the bigger creators to. Because that Joe Rogan thing, Joe Rogan said something. I was like, oh my God. We went back. We were saying it 2.5 years on the channel. What can I tell you? What more can I say? Top billing. Anyways, guys, Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.